we are in the museum and we are also in the CPRM, which is all these posters here, all this information that you see on the walls. They are the CPRM. That's their house, their place. So we'll have a representative that is very important from the CPRM, Jorge Pimentel. And he will gather a lot of things that we already talked about, education, lots of things. And afterwards we'll have a panel to present the context a little better in Portuguese. So I would like to pass on the floor to Delegaio, and I would like to thank also, because Derek is one of the people that when he was in the Global Summit, they had all the friends, he invited them all and they all helped. So I would like to thank Derek for being a partner. So Derek will be the moderator of this panel. So welcome, Derek. Good afternoon, everybody. I think this panel is super important because this issue about the water in our everyday life, well, we don't live in the oceans, in the seas, so we forget a little bit about that we are 90-some% water, and the seas and the oceans, everything is made out of water. So I believe it's an issue that is very important, and Glenn will also talk about this and the urgent issue of water. And Jorge will also bring things from another angle, from the government, how we take bad care of our environment and how the water is in danger because of the climate, and also can cause problems for the communities, and everything that the Brazilian government is doing to bring solutions to this kind of situation. So I believe it's a very interesting, important panel that we will be talking about this issue on water. So Jorge, we will start talking about all the big work that the Brazilian government is doing toward that in the different cities and so on. So I pass on the floor to him. Thank you, first of all. Good afternoon, everybody. It's an honor to be talking to you. I'm from the CPRM, which is the Geological Service from Brazil. I will be speaking in Portuguese. I see that this audience is multicultural. We have a lot of representatives here. And just a few technical details now, but I will be presenting an action from the federal government to help doing the mapping of the geological risky area that would have mudslides and also flooding areas. So after these catastrophic events from 2001 in the mountain area in Rio de Janeiro with over 1,000 deaths, and immeasurable dangers. So let's see if this is working. It's closing. I'll see if we can do that. So after what happened in 2011, the federal government created a series of bodies and institutions to do this mapping and diagnosis and to prepare the population in prevention actions, as well as the civil defense. And CPM got this mission, and I'm the coordinator. I'm a geologist, and I coordinate this work since 2011. I will try again. There it goes. Good. So I will be here for now. These charts, as you can see here, you see the numbers of deaths. So since 1988, I see if I find my place here. Since 1988, we had 277 victims in Petropolis. 1990. So unfortunately, this is the number of people that died. So he is 180 to 138. So in other words, every year we would have victims until this mega event of 2011 in the mountain region, where we had almost 1,000 deaths, and a lot of them haven't even been recognized, and the whole families perished. So unfortunately, it was a marking event, and believe it or not, it was an event that changes things, changed the society, changed the company. The CPRM changed itself. There was a small group that were just geologists. I was one of them, and now, because of this catastrophe, we are 80 professionals that got into this by public bidding. And then here I will show you, since 2011, as far as water is patrimony, is a mineral patrimony, but at the same time it causes catastrophe. So since November of 2008, and I believe that you all might remember that, the region of Santa Catarina, like in 23 of November, it's my birthday, so it was close to my birthday, and in Santa Catarina, 150 people lost their lives in this event, especially in Itajaí Valley. This is an example of one of the places that was most affected in the Vale do Baú. It's a typology of mudslide that is very interesting, that was unknown for that region, because there was not this accumulated rain so specific. It was 1,000 millimeters in 30 days, so it means 1,000 liters per square meter in 24 hours. So actually it was in 3 days throughout the month, but concentrated in 3 days, that caused the process typology that was unknown until then. Not by geologists and mapping, but from civil defense and the population, which was this mudslide that became these canals that would block the rivers and destroy houses. And here, as you can see, when this breaks, the water comes as a big flood with a lot of impact, and it caused a lot of damage. So this was the first event. The second one happened 3 years later in January of 2011 in the mountain region in Rio, and this was a changing incident because it generated a huge amount of victims, 916 deaths, 345 disappeared, 35,000 people were removed from their houses. In Teresópolis there were more 340, and in Petropolis we can't even count. So it was the reason to create the National Plan for Managing Risks and Answers to Disaster. So it involved the Ministry of the Cities and Planning, and we got the mission of mapping out the regions. So just to show some mudslides to illustrate my speech, in this case they are planner mudslide. There was a house there that was completely destroyed. This is in Conquista. This is also didactic. This is a plan. There was another mudslide that is very flat, so there is a series of valleys that had been created by the destruction through the water, just for you to have an understanding about the damage caused. So these 15 days after the rains, you see this stream. It used to be very small, and that day caused all this damage. Why? Because all the mudslides that you see there, they formed a natural dam there, and so it created a lake, as I've said, just like in Santa Catarina, and it destroyed a number of houses and people that were in their houses at night, because these things never happen in the time that you can. Usually is in the wee hours of the night, and so this is a big mystery that a lot of geologists are trying to understand. This used to be a neighborhood, so now you see the houses came down. This is a typical area in Brazil. It doesn't get to be a favela, it's a low budget community, but all this happened because of the water flow. It used to be a small stream, but it became a huge. And these, you see all the materials from the other deposits and things that were in the water and got bad. So this is a micro dam. So you can imagine the amount of energy that caused this disaster. This was not water anymore. There's a lot more density to make this whole block to travel and to have such impact. Okay, I just have 15 minutes for my speech, so I'll be talking about our national plan to answer disasters. The first one started on 2012 until 2015, and now we are on this from that goes up to 2019. So we got the mission to map 821 cities that are critical, the ones that used to have victims and damage. We've done that, and we're still working, and now we have 1,162 cities that have been mapped. And I will show you the consequences of that in prevention. Here we can see a huge table. I talked about the plan for many years, the PPA. So now we are on this from 2016 to 2019. So up to 2019, I have to map 350. So we see here the progression: 102, 72, 72, 104. And with these, we are going to get to 1,162 because Brazil has 5,000 some. So with these, we have a good sample with this work. So this work, as this big event of you, is most of all transmission of personal knowledge. Like a geologist, I look at a map like that and I understand what it says, but I need to talk to the population. We need to learn to talk to the population. This is not easy. We need to communicate. And one way of doing that is that the CPRM technicians went to the field to work together with civil defense. We went together with them. So we said, whatever I see, I will be telling you. So that was a way of capacitating or qualifying and train the civil defense people, because they are the ones that will be protecting the population. They have this mission, but they don't have the technical knowledge. A lot of times they were just firemen that would do rescue, but this has changed. So here we see the team working together, and this one is one of the products of risk management. This is the place where you have the problem. This is an A3. So one of the documents that we changed the way we mapped. We don't do the maps anymore. We have these A3. We have the polygonal where you have the process happening. The yellow part is where you have the blocks and the house that might be affected. For each one of the risky area, you have one like that. Some have even 300, especially in the favelas. And here we codify, explain the problem. We count the amount of houses, amount of people involved, and what to do to solve the problem, which is the weakest part of our problem because it counts on the implementation of the different city governments. We also see about the floods. We are geologists and we need to show where there is the possible damage. This is in Rio Grande do Sul in the Itaguaí Valley. Again, we'll be showing here the sectors. We also work in the Amazon. There is a phenomenon called the terras caídas, with the fallen lands. So we apply the methodology for these regions that are at the border of the rivers. So these cities here in the Amazon, for example, is being affected by this dynamic of the Solimões River. Here is in Espírito Santo district, and the houses are here. So this is a series of information. We also do reports. This is a typical favela in Brazil. The houses are very poor and weak. Here we see in Pará state, there is also this area close to the river. You ate açaí yesterday, right? So there used to be a açaí industry there, and the houses where they built houses on top of the house of the peels of the açaí. So look what happened. This is açaí peels. They just build on top of it. The açaí is delicious, but in this case causes a lot of problem.
All this work is done with geoprocessing. Do you work with this, easy ArcGIS? So all the work besides that is made digitally with data banks, because it goes afterwards. That I'll explain later when he doesn't show me that it's missing 10 minutes. But anyway, here this is a risk sector, and here's the data bank. The data bank is kind of what I showed before. So just to show you here, this is a map of municipalities in Brazil. 1,162 municipalities. All Amazon has been mapped. So here the difficulty in mapping in Amazon is that we need to use old plans. They are putting fuel in the airplane with a gallon. I think it's gas from açaí. I don't know what they put inside the airplanes. But anyway, here is the geologist. There is no car passing by here, so they hire the motorcycles, and what is important is that every time this team goes to the field, they bring the data, they give their suggestions, solutions, and they do the job. This is Breno. Breno is not wearing his boots because he is walking in the water to do the mapping. Here's Iris crossing the river, so this is a job that is not on images, but it's on their own legs. We need to see the problems and leave the problem. And here's the great difficulty. The geologist must get there, and there's a big dog on the other side. So sometimes it's not this, it's not the dog, but it's a lack of safety. Anyway, where do this data go to? They generally stay in the municipality, but they go to a public body called CPRM that does the monitoring, and they make a cross-link of our maps, those images here, with the radar images. So when there is a strong rain, a downpour in the risk areas, they send alarms to the population so that they are protected and removed from there. Something that makes me really proud is this course that we have, those trainings for the civil defense and for the population in general. So we gather here, when you are wearing the orange vest, you are from the civil defense. Here in orange or red, they are firefighters or civil defense, and then we have people from universities and local people, and we have a course of 40 hours for training. You receive this brochure, and it has this title. It's not by chance, changing habits and reducing risks of mass movements and flooding. The name is a safer community. This is for children. So you cannot have a technical look at it. This is basic education, but it's prevention. It's showing the importance. So a cliff doesn't go is destroyed from out of the blue. It gives give signs, and we need to understand those signs. Sometimes we don't know how to understand it, but we need to study it because we get there and we try to work on the place and we see the signs. So we show kids the signs, the cracks when the tree is not going up, the house is not good. Like here, for example, you have cracks on the ground, you have walls that are destroyed, trees that are not straight up. It shows that something has been happening for months or years. So if we try to understand, we can tell it to children, and the kid may have a risk map. So here we have blocks and, okay, we have a garage here. The garage is under the blocks. That's where he parks his car. So when the comb goes to work, the kids are playing there. So this is a total lack of risk perception. This is the reverse of what we want. So here we have garbage. We have the problems of health and sewage. So this is the condition of reality in Brazil today, in our favelas, in our communities. They are like this. And it doesn't matter if we have academic work and present in congresses. We need to go to the communities. And this is what we do. Please, my team, the team from CPRM. So this is what the brochure shows. They show the absurd effects that happen anywhere. You destroy and then the house goes down. So anyway, you received the brochure. We have the water throwing here. Everything helps to destroy the cliff. Here in red, the boy is showing that it's negative. But we have positive actions, thumbs up actions, like putting the garbage in the right place, or what to do when you have long downpours. So you need to look for protection, leave the region that you know is a risky region, because I deal with risk. I live there, so I try to do these kind of things. So this is the last message from the Civil Defense. So how to get the data from CPRM? They are all available. The most basic thing is to visit our homepage. This presentation is there. You may copy, and you have many addresses and links here because you have a data system and so on. Here's the system. You need to be an expert here, but in the homepage you can download any of our works. We also work with metadata. Any entity that is mapped. Okay, so I could do it. Probably I skipped a lot of information that I would like to tell you, but I know you have many interesting speeches here, so I'm at your disposal. I work here at CPRM, and this action is a government action that is allowing us to increase, and this is something commonplace, but I have to say that we need to increase the resilience of the cities and increase the possibilities of self-protection. It's not easy, but that's what we want. That's what we need. So today we have thousands of municipalities, and I hope we get to 3,000, and then we'll have the country very well monitored and allowing this protection for the population that is in such a need as the Brazilian population. Thank you, and sorry for being such a hurry.
So we are in the museum, and we are also in the CPRM, which is all these posters here, all this information that you see on the walls. They are the CPRM. That's their house, their place. So we'll have a representative that is very important, because Derek is one of the people that when he was in the global summit, they had all the friends, he invited them all and they all helped. So I would like to thank Derek for being a partner. So Derek will be the moderator of this panel. So welcome, Derek. Reported from the CPRM, Jorge Pimentel. And he will gather a lot of things that we already talked about, education, lots of things. And afterwards, we'll have a panel to present the context a little better in Portuguese. So I would like to pass on the floor to Delegaio, and I would like to thank also Angle from the government how we take bad care of our environment and how the water is in danger because of the climate and also can cause problems for the communities and everything that the Brazilian government is doing to bring solutions to this kind of situation. So I believe it's a very interesting, important panel that we will be talking about this issue on water. So George, we will start talking about all the big work that the Brazilian government is doing. Good afternoon, everybody. I think this panel is super important because this issue about the water in our everyday life, well, we don't live in the oceans, in the seas, so we forget a little bit about that we are 90% water, and the seas and the oceans, everything is made out of water. So I believe it's an issue that is very important, and Glenn will also talk about this and the urgent issue of water. And Jorge will also bring things from another